What's up, y'all? You know what time it is. It's about to be that time.
Hey everybody, and welcome to One Piece 2026 edition. Sorry for the delay. I am still sick, guys. I feel like I've been sick for like a month. That's kind of because I have sick, got better for like 2 days, and then got sick again, either with the same thing or something different. But I feel like I'm at the kind of the end of the road with all of it. So by the next chapter, I should be fine. But man, this whole like holiday break was just, it was just. Anyway, I very much appreciate everybody being here. As we enter we're entering my 7th year covering One Piece chapters on YouTube, which is crazy. We started in 2019. Seems like really surreal. But let's see what everybody else is up to. Switch over to this mode. I like this mode better. Sav said, glad to have found you. Always love your chapter reactions and discussions afterwards. I appreciate that. We did get a donation from Veronica before the stream. Hey, Veronica. She said, Happy New Year, everyone. This is going to be another great year of One Piece, and want to start with 1170. Oda, Oda, Oda. Looking forward to your reaction, Randy. Thanks, Veronica. And we're going to get into that. The first chapter of the year. And I have not been spoiled at all. I don't know what's going on in this. Which is great. I just saw on Viz, it says new chapter in 14 days. We're already on a break.
Another one.
I hate when that happens. You have this, you know, long break. But I feel like that probably always happens. Chapter 1170. Contrary. We've got One Piece kids all together. I don't know if we've ever actually seen something like this. You know, it shows the clear age difference between Robin, Jinbei, and the rest. There's no Frankie here. Frankie would also have an age gap. So that's one of the glaring things that kind of jumps out at me. And clearly no Brook. Jinbei is a station worker for the Eel Railroad, giving passengers eel bentos for lunch. So this was Oda's choice to just put them as kids, like, hanging out. The tiny chopper is something else. Okay. Shout out to Lydia Raven for rejoining. Appreciate it. Stronger together.
Together we're stronger. Together we're stronger.
Let's see here. All right, cool. Let's get to the next page here. All right, so we're picking up right where we left off, which is Loki has just been smacked in the face by Ragnir. And there was an implication that this hammer could be sentient. You know, and that's a really fun idea when you take into consideration something like Mjolnir, right? Especially in the, you know, the Marvel comics, how it will always, you know, go to Thor's hand. So if it's been infused with a homie, or if the ancient civilization was able to do what Vegapunk, you know, managed to do in the past couple of years and put a soul into the object, that's just going to be great, and it sets up Usopp for a great hammer moment later in the story. All right. Bastard. Hey, who threw this hammer at me? Come out and show yourself. Okay, so Oda's really leaning into the idea that this hammer threw itself. I know they're in here. Might as well get that devil fruit now. Crack, crack. So maybe the hammer itself has been tasked with protecting the fruit, which could be interesting. Okay, so there's on the next page here, we've got some sound effects happening, like the floor is cracking. It's so heavy, leaning into that aspect of it, that it's actually breaking the floor, and Loki's gonna fall through. You gotta be kidding me. There's no way that it's that heavy. Is the castle falling apart or something? You waste your time, Loki. That devil fruit's a national treasure. It has lain dormant for centuries. Not because no one chose to eat it, but because no one could eat it. That's crazy. Not a single one of them was chosen by Ragnir. Now we're getting back into the prophecy stuff here, people. But with the strength I now possess, this is moving on to next page. Okay. Two-arm Shanks and Gabon strike Harold. That's good. Suffers immense pain from his wounds, and the recovery effect is drastically slowed down. Give him enough consecutive hits, and we can manage to knock him out of commission. If these guys have any weakness, it's against those of us, who can infuse our attacks with the color, with the Conqueror's Haki. Making it sound pretty simple. I feel like Luffy can already do that. I thought this was going to be like something new that you'd have to figure out. Next page. You really dare make an enemy out of me? Of course I do. I can't let you roam free in this state of madness. How do you know the weakness of the knights of the Holy Knights, Gabon? They came after us several times trying to take you back. Oh, that's okay. That's fun lore. I like that. We know you have a child with red hair. He must be the son of our commander. Hand the boy over. Shank's the only character with red hair in the entire story? I can't remember now. There's gotta be others, right? Tanjiro. That... I don't know. It's gonna be something to think about. Each time they did, we beat them black and blue. Okay. Well, you know... that doesn't do great for hyping up the Holy Knights. That the Roger Pirates beat them easily. Yeah, this new threat that's like supposed to be a big threat, we took care of those guys. I don't like that kind of stuff. Should have said it was a hard battle. Next page. Now that you mention it, I seem to remember that Summers guy saying something like that. Just some fond memories of the distant past. I was surprised to learn that there was a proper combat force in the Holy Land. I assume those celestial dragons were all chumps. Yeah, they hardly ever come down to our world. They really believe they're gods. It makes me shiver to think of the life I might have had. We call that fate. Now that's interesting having Gabon say something like that. Because we know that the Blackbeard pirates are always talking about fate. For Gabon to say it might mean Blackbeard and his team are onto something. I want to save Harold somehow, Gabon. Yeah, but you were the one who taught me about the despair of what it means to become a knight of God. Seems like Loki's our only hope. Next page. I keep telling you to get out of my way, you stupid hammer. Wheeze, 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 wheeze. Oh god, this is gonna be a gag. Does this mean you're supposed to be the guardian of the national treasure? How does a hammer move on its own? What's your deal anyway? Just give it a rest. Wow. I remember we were like comparing this hammer. We were like, he's got a different hammer. Because this one got destroyed easily. Yeah. Well, I'm loving Ragnir. Alright, Loki's upset that his hammer got broken. It's clanging around. There it is. Is Ragnir supposed to be Ratatoskr? Oh, man. So it is an animal. Talked about this. GG, yeah, he had red hair too. Belmir had more pink hair. Kid's got red hair, yeah. Calgara, yep, okay. I love this, by the way. I was hoping that we would get some sort of Ratatoskr thing. You know, I even talked about that in a big Elbaf video I did. So this is cool. Alright, be gone. How do we end this fight? He's got conquerors too. That's a first. That's a first. That means none of the Holy Knights have conquerors. Guards, find some way to hold Harold back. You must not let Harold have that devil fruit. Okay, so Ja Rule knows. He knows, but he should, because he's, 400 years old, so that makes sense. These guys are getting messed up. Harold's not looking great, but he can regenerate. Next page. Ratatoskr opens the chest. Loki eats the fruit. Holy crap. I was not expecting this. I thought this would be Luffy's fruit. Ragnatoskr starts to do a little song. Oda better not, keep this in silhouette. I gotta see what this is. But this is a good, first chapter of the year. If we're gonna get Loki's, devil fruit. Alright, we got a double pager here. Show me that legendary power. So you ate it, Loki. Now he's able to wield Ragnir. He's been chosen. He's worthy. It's a Zoan. Is he a dragon? Horse? The hell is he? I knew it, Loki. You possess the blood of a conqueror. I was keeping this real close to the vest here. Hey, are you back to your senses now? Only for the moment. Don't be mistaken. Look around us. There's no one doing what I've already done, but you're being controlled. What happened to Shanks and Gabon? Not exactly. I suspect that my very thoughts are being influenced by someone else. I'm beginning to think of myself as a god. I know that you will do an admirable job of pulling Elbaf in your wake. Make sure you get along with your brother, just so you know. You're scum of the earth. Forcing your own son to end your life. Even the lowest excuse for a father wouldn't do that. One other thing I forgot to say. Thank you for what you did for Ida. Burning down the brewer's village won't bring her back, but I'm grateful that you felt that way. I like that. I'm glad that that was addressed. Now we got this close-up on the Covenant's mark. And it looks like it's got a cut in it. So they're talking about how he's got a temporary relief where he is able to kind of have this conversation with Loki. And I think that this close-up here, if I'm not reading too much into it, is that while the symbol's been broken before it regenerates, that's why he's able to have this conversation in the first place. Because the symbol's been kind of corrupted a little bit. And I think the next page kind of corroborates that because it says, hurry now before the control takes over again. I'll never forgive you for this. How dare you force me to do this dirty work? He just says, I love you too, son. With a smile on his face. Harold D. Man. Lightning bolt comes down. Oof, what a panel. My son, all that matters is Elbaf's future. That hammer is insane. What that hammer was able to do. That's it. All right, guys. What are the streets saying about Loki's fruit in that silhouette? That's what I need to know. I think this, little shot of the
Savage.
Harold's arm with the mark being disrupted feeds well into theories about, Shanks and the Lord of the Coast taking the mark away. And that, I mean, it also just gives everybody like a target. It's something that like Usopp will be really, useful for. It's like, all right, we got to disrupt the marks, and then once they're broken down, then they can actually like hurt them, or something like that. It's good to have like a very visual, clear weakness for people to expose. So it's like they're near unstoppable, but once you know the weakness, then like you can actually do some damage to them. Like, I'm okay with that. If that's the reason why Shanks and Roger and Gabon and Rayleigh were able to, take him out pretty easily on top of having Kakurasaki, then that's something that's cool. Streets are saying Nidhogg or Fenrir. I guess, a wolf, it could, well, Fenrir was one of the big, one of the big theories, even going way back. That could have been the case. And Nidhogg, that's a pretty good one too. But I mean, like, I think Fenrir makes sense because Fenrir is, literally tied to Loki. But the thing about Nidhogg is, Nidhogg is tied to Ratatoskr, though. And Ragnir is clearly a reference to Ratatoskr. So we talked about this in the big Elbaf video, that if we had a Ratatosker, like, would they be like an insult spewing creature like in the mythology? It's the whole thing with Ratatoskers, that they just send insults between Nidhogg and like across Yggdrasil. I can't remember the exact lore or whatever, but I know that those two are tied together. So that actually there is there's something there too. Look at this silhouette again. But I'm trying to think. I gotta freshen back up on the Nidhogg lore and the Fenrir lore, because it's like, if this is supposed to be like the the game changing devil fruit, I'm trying to remember like what from the mythos of all of this would warrant this being the the end all be all fruit. Shout out to Insomniac 9972. Superden said, "Wonder if Ragnir isn't a devil fruit, but just naturally exists as a squirrel hammer hybrid. If he's been judging the past kings of Elbaf, then he must at least be several centuries old." So to that, Insomniac, I think we know that all of Vegapunk's technology is technology that they had in the past. So it's like, it's the whole the big twist of Egghead. We're not in the future. We're in the past. So this new technology that Vegapunk is doing, creating Lasso and Funkfried and these other animal hybrid weapons. These are things that we can infer, and it's not a crazy, tinfoil theory, that this was just normal place 800 years ago and beyond. So that's just how I feel. I mean, I feel like by going into the hammer state, it would be like a stasis where Ratatosker is basically, Ragnir is basically immortal. So I don't think it's a natural thing. I don't think there's anything natural about this. It's science. But it's just from the past. Man, something about Harold saying "love you too" gets me emotional, even though Harold is kind of looking past Loki at the greater picture. Yeah, no, that was a good moment. Is it the hammer or the fruit causing lightning? That's a great question. I mean, it's a Mjolnir stand-in, which would have lightning. That may not even be something that ever gets answered. It's just like, part of the mythos, right? Like, there were a lot of things in Wano that seemed sort of out of place, but we didn't get answers for them, but it tied into the mythology. The Shinto mythology of whatever the creature was. I remember like one specific thing is, just throwing a random one out, is like Black Maria's staff, which was, a one Yudo. And it's like, where's the fire coming from? Is that a devil fruit? Like, what's going on? And it's like, there's no real, I don't think we ever really got an explanation for that, other than like, this is a mythological creature. Cookie Pro Lurker said, Oda's saving the reveal for when Loki joins the fight in the present day. So the first time we ever see it is at the same time Luffy. Yeah, Oda does this kind of thing all the time. So that's what we're gonna get, and that's gonna be a big end of the end chapter moment kind of thing. Kip said, R.I.P. Harold the Mad King. It's got real, when you can finally beat your dad at basketball energy. The Legendario, my theory is that it's Garmer, the Hellhound that guards the gates of hell. Okay, I don't know much about that one. That's interesting. Emil said Nidhogg is also a good opposite to Celestial Dragons. Nidhogg's below and the dragon's above. That's good. Nidhogg actually, you know, like does guard, you know, like the bottom of Yggdrasil. So there, and you know, where was Loki tied up? In the underworld. So okay, you know, I mean, like there's something there. Saeed said that Ragnir is written as Iron Lightning in kanji, and Nidhogg is written as Lightning Dragon in kanji. Okay. So we're... I see what we're doing here. Little Dreams top picks are Fafnir, Nidhogg, Norse Rooster, Thor's Goats, like tied to Baphomet Goat, God of Elbaf War. We'll see if we see those goats. We're also seeing Fafnir. I can't remember Fafnir. Do a Google on that one. Okay, Dragon. But does Fafnir have any, like, tie to Loki? Because I remember when I did a deep dive on Loki, like, I don't remember this thing ever coming up. Vaza Cap said, Randy, in 1142, we see many different animals, the nightmares, you know, the different nightmares the children have. Maybe Loki is one of them. Maybe. I mean, that's it. I mean, we did see Fenrir as one of them. Horse theory is dead based on the claws, yeah. Jin said the one true Fenrir is Nico Robin's true brother in Ennie's lobby. Yes. Shout out to Jabra. Weezy said, so Rox was looking for the Yami Yami and this Loki fruit. That's not the Nico. Yeah. Can't wait to get that all explained. Kip said Chopper and Ragnir are going to be pals. Oh, yeah. I think I even talked about that in the thing. Well, I also had a theory where it was like, we could either get a real Ragnir, or I thought it would be funny if everybody in Elbaf confused Chopper instead of being for Tanagi. They all thought he was Ratatosker. I'll be right back, guys. Sorry about that, guys. Vodka Blaze said, I think Nidhogg's on the mural. They gotta be. Vishnu said, Ratatosker just hangs out on Twitter all day rage baiting. Yes. A lot of people have to be talking about Ratatosker. And I'm sure for the first time, people are just learning about Ratatosker. Said that I missed an earlier super chat. I apologize. Lobster Magnet Review said, are you in the season 3 writers room for One Piece live action? Yes. I still work for the live action. But, I mean, they're already shooting season 3, so... Writer's room. That was a while ago. Let's see. I know you said it would be Luffy's fruit, and maybe Loki won't have one at all. Well, I did like the idea of him lying. But, they said, for me, Loki needed a devil fruit in this world of fantastical powers. For Loki, the master of mischief, to not have any powers at all would fail to maintain the essence of the story. Hopefully it's one of the top powers. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Ragnar turns out to be a squirrel that heard someone call him a hammer like Papaku, he will become my new favorite character. Grush said, Shanks captures Loki, and Shanks' sword is Griffin, which is an eagle hybrid Nidhogg. And the eagles at the top of Yggdrasil exchange insults via Ratatosker, foreshadowing the world's end. I like that. I like that. That's a good connection there. Imagine we leave Elbaf and still don't know the fruit somehow. Oh my god. Lydia Raven said, I honestly think that Ragnar is not the Chopper of the Void Century, but the Chopper of the First Age, the true Nika's pet. What I like about that is that it ties the original Nika, like, specifically to giant Elbaf Norse lore, which is what started the story in the first place. So if it goes back to there, like, then I'm like, okay, this is what Oda was trying to do. Ragnar's a female Chopper. She's going to fall in love with Chopper. I don't like the idea of Chopper falling in love with something that's centuries old. Chopper translating all of Ragnar's Ratatosker insults to everybody is going to be cute. Oh my god. See, now that's it. That's what it is. And we have not been seeing Chopper translating in a really long time. So this is that I need. Yes. This I need. Where's the hype for chair piece? Where's the hype? Where was it? Listen to Wesley and like D stream. Twitter's all about hockey knots. Season 2 going to be dope. Super excited. Not much longer. March 10th. So next chapter, are we back to the present, or are we going to see Loki's adventures at sea and Shanks capturing him? I think that we're owed that a little bit. I think we need to see the fallout of what happened, too. Because I think that, I mean, there's got to be another element to all of this. We got to see the people turning on Loki. The reaction to this. What is his, special bounty all about? All that kind of stuff. But I also like how all of this gives context to like why Loki was so adamant about turning Shamrock and Gunko down, right? It's like, no, I don't want to be controlled. And I love that. Nuts. Let's get nuts. Wheezy said, Oda always has aftermath chapters and a flashback. It's never just the death and then the present. Yeah, exactly. Doesn't give us any new info necessarily, but you can see a creature on the new Giant Warrior Pirate's mast. They leave Buggy's Island that is similar to the silhouette of Loki's Devil Fruit. I'd love if the mythical fruit of Elbaf was already shown to us in design on a ship like that. I said I like that. I could see the Shanks stuff being saved for later, but you're right. We need to see why Loki was hated so much. But I also think that there has to be like a world government angle of it too. Like we can't just see the reaction of the people. We need to see the reaction of the world government because that's what we're coming back into in the present. So it's like, how does all of this then tie to Emu? Why did Emu wait, so many years? Like what? And also, how does this tie into Luffy's fruit? Because it Magmortar said best chapter of 2026. Hey, you know what? You're not lying. You're not lying. Best chapter of 2026 right here. That might change. It might change with the next chapter. But for right now,
You
right
loyal.
now, it's best chapter of 2026. Let's have said also the worst chapter of 2026. Also, not wrong. We're simultaneously reading the best and worst chapter of 2026. All here together. Uh, excuse me, sorry guys. Shout out to Chin, member for 51 months. Said Loki's devil fruit is Odin's Sleipnir. It's Year of the Horse. I mean, initially when I saw the design, I was like, "Is this a horse?" And then, you know, I mean, like Sleipnir could make sense, but then as was brought up earlier, you got claws and stuff. So I'm more inclined to right now. Nidhogg is like my favorite, just because of the connection to Ratatoskr. But I don't want to rule out Fenrir either, because that's like literally a child of Loki. So. Longest chapter of the year, too. Yeah. We got a full 17 pages. It's also the shortest chapter of the year. Reveal the man marked by flames could top this one. No, I fully expect that as we get going, this chapter is going to get dwarfed. You know, we're just making jokes here. Nidhogg Sleipnir hybrid. I mean, have we seen mythological hybrids? At that point, Oda would be making his own mythology. I don't know. Little Dream said, wonder if Loki's losing Ragnir and getting a spear like an ancient giant, like the ancient giant in the mural. Maybe it's the spear of Elbaf. Mika's spear inside the Atom Tree, or became the tree. That's interesting. I mean, I don't remember the hammer being in the mural. Maybe if we look closer, we'll see the, you know, the Ratatoskr form of it. Jin said, thoughts on Harold getting defeated by a squirrel? I mean, man got low diffed by a squirrel. Cinema. Maybe that's why Loki took the blame, and it was a cover-up by Ja Rule and Shanks Gaban. And the King of Elbaf can't get defeated by a squirrel. It already happened, baby. It already happened. What was the title contrary referencing? Am I missing something? Well, contrary to popular belief, Loki did not kill his father in malice or pure blood, you know. So I think that this is the truth of what happened, which is contrary to the story that is told. And when I initially saw the title, that was my interpretation. And after reading the chapter, it's still my interpretation. The Legendario, it's funny how all those Elbaf's Fruitus and Nika fruit theories are gone just like that. Some people are really sure about that theory. Myself included. So it's like, what are we doing here? I'm confused now. Lydia said, "Do we think that Ragnar is a hammer that ate the Ratatoskr fruit, or is this a series where a squirrel ate a hammer fruit?"
You loyal.
If it's squirrel that ate a hammer fruit, then it's very Chopper. If it's the other way around, it's science. I'm inclined to think that we're dealing with science right now from the past. So I think it's a hammer that was fed squirrel fruit or whatever, Ratatoskr.
You loyal.
What do I think of the paneling on 12 and 13? I mean, it's fine. These are all things that Oda could have like blown out, and then we would have a 23-page chapter. This is Oda like just trying to get as much onto the page as possible. And at this point, like, let's get through this. So, yeah, it is what it is. Saeed said, and also, when you say something and you mean something else, when Loki said, "I'll never forgive you," and Harold understood it as love. Yeah. That's a good point, too. And probably my favorite part of the chapter. Shout out to DJ BS, rejoining member for 54 months.
Together we're stronger.
Stronger together.
Together we're stronger.
Shout out to Crush for rejoining.
Together we're stronger.
Stronger together.
Together we're stronger.
Saeed said, you have to remember that Ragnar was also chained with Loki at Sea Prism Stone. And I feel like we brought it up at some point that, the hammer could have a fruit. Wasn't something I brought up. But I feel like I remember, getting chats or super chats about something like that. So it's not, it wasn't like, it wasn't really like a big surprise to me to have this happen. And it was even less of a surprise for it to end up being a gag. But the fact that it's actually Ratatoskr, now that I like, because I've wanted Ratatoskr this entire arc. R.I.P. Roundhammer. In the arms of the angels. Do I think Biblio will shrink Herald's sword or the giant's sword so Hyrodin can use it? The fact that we have an owl that can change the size of objects is a Chekhov's gun, right? Like, something's got to get shrunk. But for it to be used by Hyrodin, I'd rather something gets shrunk so that it gets used by our team. I've been wanting Biblio to shrink Ragnar so that Usopp can use it. Because Mjolnir in mythology is a size-changing hammer, so it's like, it's just, those things, I just can't unconnect them. I'm like, okay, you got a hammer. You have a character that's been tied to hammers like this entire series. And then you have this Mjolnir stand-in. And you have this character that can change the size of things. So it's like, let's give the character that's tied to hammers the giant hammer by changing its size. And now we've just fed all of the Norse mythology associated with the object. Cone Killer said, I think the logistics involved force it into a hammer that ate a squirrel fruit. Otherwise, the lifetime of a regular Elbaf squirrel wouldn't be hundreds of years. Yeah, that's the other part of it for me. For sure. Remember the Spidey villain Hammerhead? For sure. Little Dream said, think Biblio shrank a road poneglyph to hide it. Now that I like that, right? Because then it really ties into the plot and gives, you know, a reason for really one of the first characters that we met in the arc, and I think the first fruit that we were introduced to when we got to the island. Bam. Saria said, Biblio does have, just has to grow fruit. It can only grow things in its range. Saeed said, I think Biblo can only enlarge things based on Lilith's assumption. You know, I'm gonna hold out hope that that's just Oda lying to us so that we're surprised when it happens. It's crazy how easily people forget simple mechanics growth only just because they have headcanon. I don't know. Oda's lied to me in the past, so I'm just gonna wait.
You lying? Why you always lying?
Oh my god. Stop lying. Oda has done retcons, you know. Exactly. It's like Rox was the worst person in the world, right?
So that was a f***ing lie.
You lying? Why you always lying?
I mean, he did call Luffy's fruit the Gomu Gomu no Mi for 1,000 chapters. Let's correct that. 1,043 chapters?
So that was a f***ing lie.
Oh man, I don't get to press buttons enough. You got it. You got it, J-List. Don't worry.
Savage.
Shout out to Vasil Vlad Ivanovici coming in with a super chat. Said, Loki doesn't have a reason to go to Laugh-Tale, but he hates the world government. I think it's not Luffy whom he will ally with, but Blackbeard to take Emu down. Um, maybe. I mean, that's a good twist. But I'm also so attached to the idea that Usopp gets Ragnar that it makes me wonder if Loki dies so that Usopp can get chosen by the hammer. I don't know. But I also need to know exactly what the fruit is and what the fruit's tie to the mythology is and like the end game of the story. Because it's like if it is a counter to Emu, it's like, yeah, like this guy's got to be like fighting alongside Luffy when he takes that Emu. And you know what? I mean, like it being a tag team fight between Loki and Luffy, which I mean, we're going to get anyway here on Elbaf, is cathartic because it's like Loki's going to be able to fight the, you know, essentially the person that is responsible for why he had to kill his own father. So there's a lot of options on the table, and I'm not going to definitively lean in or choose a specific one yet because I don't have enough information. You know, it's like one of the last things that we saw before we went into this flashback was Luffy saying, "Join my crew." I feel like that's still like not completely out of the question. So, is it, you know, a higher than 50% chance? I don't know about that, but you know, I do think it's less than a 50% chance that it actually happens. But either way, like Loki sticking around with us or going with Blackbeard, like those are two very viable options. The character's here to stay, I guess, in the story, but I don't know. I'm so attached to this Ragnar Usopp thing that it just clouds my mind on a lot of, you know, different things. Seal Vladimir Vici came back with another super set. I can see Loki leaving Ragnar to the Strats as a token of appreciation and friendship after Elbaf is over. Okay, now that's good too. That's very possible. Not gonna rule that out. I like that. There's also something that can come out when Chopper starts translating for Ratatoskr also. Like, since that was brought up, like, I need that. I need it. Loki's fruit is Fenrir. That would be the second mythical dog fruit guardian of Elbaf after Yamato's guardian dog fruit for Wano. So then at that point, I feel like by rule of threes, we would need a third mythical dog fruit. Chaka can do it. We go back to Alabasta, we find out that our boy was mythical the whole time. Mythical Jackal. And that just pumps up Crocodile because he took down a mythical Zoan. I'm just saying, Chaka can do it. Crush said the first stage of healing from agenda piece is admitting you have an agenda. Yes, my agenda is that Usopp swings Ragnar. Wesley said, what if the squirrel has conquerors and this is how Usopp gets his conquerors hockey? Well, then you're nerfing Loki, right? It's like, it's funny how Harold's like, oh, you have it too, huh? Okay, cool. And it's like, nah, he never had it. The squirrel did. It's like, so not only did this guy get beaten by a squirrel, his son doesn't even, like, I don't know. If you're not a Harold fan, you're up. JHSM said, I have a feeling Loki stays behind just like Vivi did. Yeah, there's an opportunity for that too. But then there's also the opportunity of, like, where when the things in the world weren't as chaotic when Vivi stayed as they are now. You know, it's like if Alabasta happened today and we were dealing with holy knights and all this kind of stuff, I feel like Vivi would be like, hey dad, like I gotta go with them because it's the only way to help our people. Like I could stay here, but I can't do anything, but with them I can. And that's why Vivi, like when she returns, like if it isn't we gotta rescue Vivi, like she will sail with them because she wants to see this through. Loki might want to sail too to see this through if we don't finish this here. Yeah, the squirrel's got Yonko Conqueror hockey for sure. Crush said the only thing that I'm sure of is that Loki doesn't become king of Elbaf. That's for Hyrden. And I like that because Hyrden's like poised for that. He wants it, and it also fixes a problem with the citizens as well, because they don't see Hyrden as pure blood, right? So you got the half-blood prince coming in and becoming king. JS said, hope you're feeling better soon, my guy. Cheers. Some curry pudding, Vivi's favorite food, or some lemon honey tea, mayhaps. There's been a lot of lemon honey tea for sure. Iron already half joined Luffy's crew. No, so if Loki joins, who's going to be king of Elbaf? Well, I don't think... I think there would be like an interim thing. Because it's like... This is like epilogue stuff that we're talking about. I think the world is so chaotic and messed up right now that like... There's no time for Elbaf to have a ruler. Like, you just got, like, this has to get done. And then also at the same time, too, is like, Harold was the king of Elbaf and was never at Elbaf. He was moving and doing things for the government or at the Holy Land. Like, they were just running without leadership, like, all the time. So it could be that, too. Bastard child of the king born from a peasant wife. His dream is to get rid of the prejudice that his mom and father despised and kept them apart. And I think that's, that's what we need from Elbaf. They could rule it together if it's the Dory Brogy and Joro duo. So I like that too. Said he inherited his father's dream to unite the giants. Loki got left with Harold's burdens to defend Elbaf and carry the blame for his mistakes. Yeah. Hyrden... How Hyrden reacts to hearing all of this stuff is going to be good to watch. Like, I'd love to just come out of this and, like, Hyrden just walks over and, like, just gives his brother a hug or something. You know, like... Why didn't you tell me? You could have told me this whole time. But then we wouldn't have gotten the flashback. Vishnu said Kuma was a king and was barely at his kingdom too. I can't think of a single policy he implemented. Yeah. Basically the same like Odin. Yeah, so I don't think that that's a a viable argument in One Piece at this point, unfortunately. Jin said, I'm betting Usopp's gonna pull the sword out of Ja Rule's head. We're gonna get the sword in the stone. Maybe. Magmortar said Loki is Batman. He took the blame like in the Dark Knight with Harvey Two-Face. Oh, you weren't here last chapter, huh? Oh man. We had a whole thing last chapter about this. I made the comparison. I did the whole speech. Loki's the hero Elbaf deserves, but not the one it needs right now. Silent Guardian. Watchful Protector. We'll hunt him. Because he can take it. Must have said, would be a fun gag if all this time the sword could be pulled out, nothing bad happens. You know, can Chopper be a doctor? Is that too radical of an idea? Just something I thought of. Must have said, Sai did a fun 2026 predictions bingo. Do you have any wild predictions for 2026 would like to happen this year besides Usopp swinging Ragnar? I'd have to think on that. I think I'm too I gotta get over all this being sick before I'm gonna be able to think that far into the future right now. I don't know, that sounds a bit extreme. I thought so. My bad. But I feel like I kind of did that in the last stream we did. Best the chapters of the year tier list. I feel like at the end of it we started talking about like what to expect in 2026. I think we did that. I can't remember exactly what we said, but I think we did that at the end of that stream. Chris said, now that Harold's story is basically over, where do you rank him versus Odin? I know you think both are bums. In my opinion, Odin's the bigger bum. Yeah, I mean, I feel like if I was doing like a tier list of bums, like there's probably like the Odin tier, and I might throw Harold like not in his own tier, but just like in the same bracket, like they're in the Odin tier of bums. But yeah, I mean, Odin might edge him out a little bit, but and I think Odin edges Harold out of the top spot there because everything that Odin did actively left Elbaf in a like awful state, right? They basically people became slaves. They had to do the weapons factories. They were starving. They had to eat smiles. This is all because of Odin. And you're not gonna sit here and convince me that it's not, because he could have stopped it. And he didn't, because we needed Luffy to. Now Harold, he kind of had just one bad day, and then Elbaf has been fine for the most part for the last however many years. They've managed to get by. It got skirted under the rug. It's not like they were being subjugated. So now, what's happening now in the present is bad and could become arguably worse than what Odin did. We'll have to wait and see, right? I mean, like, if it ends up leading to like a full Ragnarok and Yggdrasil burns and all this kind of stuff, like, these people may be completely displaced. They may not have an island when this is through. I mean, there's a possibility for all of this. If Elbaf ends this year, we'll put this on the bingo card. The tree will burn. Like, the entire tree will burn, because that's part of Ragnarok. So if we're getting Ragnarok, like, the tree has to burn. And it was also one of the first lines. I think it might even be the literal first line of Elbaf. Once we like started the arc, they were concerned that the tree was burning. So that would be like the foreshadowing there. It's a big part of the Ragnarok lore. So, we could see something like that. But I mean, like, everybody getting Domi reversied, like, this is all because Harold, like, he invited them in. Like, the Mark of the Abyss is there in the castle because of it, like, because of him. So they're on the same tier, but, Odin edges him out right now. He deserves it. I like this flashback significantly more than Odin's, personally. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. This flashback was just like, way better than the Odin flashback. Because in that one, we only got like 2 chapters of Roger, and we got like 10, like, I don't know, it might not have been 10, but it felt like 10. Like, we got the whole rocks thing. We got God Valley. Like, this thing, this wipes Odin's flashback. Like, the best, how's the, I mean, this works for this chapter, but for this flashback too. But is it like, how's it the Odin flashback, right? And the best moment of the flashback ain't even you, bro. Like, it's the he laughed moment. Like, Odin got low diffed in his own flashback, and Harold got low diffed in his flashback by rocks. But here's the thing too, is like, if you consider this the Loki flashback, Loki has not been a bum this entire time. Loki's been making the right choices. So he's already like, that's another thing too. So it's like, if you don't even think of this as Harold's flashback, you think of it as Loki's flashback, we're on top. We're winning. Harold's just a character in the flashback. Do you think there are worse fathers than Harold? Yeah. Odin. There's a lot of bad dads. Harold at least loves his kids. Harold might be like, I don't even think I'd put him at the bottom of like if we're just talking like just dad, like strictly father, and not like that, like he wouldn't be at the bottom of the tier list at all. There'd be a lot of other people there. But best dad, in One Piece? That's Kyros, in my opinion. Like that's, you know, he's top 5 best dads in One Piece. You know, definite SS plus tier. Kuma's up there. Kuma's the best adopted dad, right? He's the best dad that stepped up. But the best like biological father, in my opinion, is Kyros. Like I love Kyros. Like the Joker says, all it takes is just one bad day. Yeah, I was deliberately referencing that when I sent that to. It was the Yggdrasil World Tree in Rhodes Block Country that they were worried about the tree burning. Yeah, no, I know that. Don't get me wrong, I know that. But the Adam tree, I think, needs to burn also. I think it was a microcosm of what's going to happen later on. Harold was more impactful as a character, at least. You know what? In a way. That's fair too. Odin got Roger to laugh though. That's a pretty big impact. But we don't know the extent of the impact. Like, what Odin's contributions to all of that, we won't really realize the actual impact of all of that stuff until we get to the end of the story. Whereas like with a lot of the, you know, the Herald impact, it's like it's actually happening within the arc that we're in. So we're able to feel it like more immediately. A piece of story about bad parents. Queen's probably a top tier dad though, especially if he's Frankie's deadbeat dad that threw him off the boat. Yeah, I know what you meant. Just remind people. Yeah, I wasn't clear, so you're right. Cheer, peace, guys. I'll be right back. Sorry about that, guys. I think I'm gonna start winding down so I can take some more medicine and rest and get better, so that by the time we get to 1171, I'm not dealing with any of this. Thoughts on Doomsday Weekly teasers? Well, I mean, I've only seen the Captain America and the Thor one. Did the third one come out yet? Like, as in, like, officially? It seems like there's an emphasis on children. So it's like, is Doom going around stealing kids or killing kids or making kids sick or whatever? I mean, like, he did appear in the Fantastic Four post-credit scene and, like, appeared in front of the child. So it's like, going through the multiverse, you know, he takes Cap's kid away, he takes Thor's kid away. Third is out? Ooh, well, alright, well, I need to watch that then. Jacobs said, take your time, Randy. Been getting over a bad flu in my house, too. Yeah, well, the thing is like, whatever we got, it did not test for flu, it did not test for COVID. It's been very persistent, very long, and I don't know. What am I looking more forward to? Spidey 4 or Doomsday? That's tough. I think I'm actually a little more excited for Spider-Man. I'm a little salty that they're, you know, still doing this whole, like, Fox X-Men thing with Doomsday. You know, I'm glad that it seems like they're gonna do, you know, like, comic accurate, like, finally, like, kind of embrace all that stuff, but it's, to me, a little bit, it seems like it's coming from a place of Kevin Feige having started with the X-Men movies for Fox, that he wants to, like, wrap up what he was doing. But I think the best thing for the MCU would have been completely recasting everybody, just giving us the X-Men and looping them in. So, like, kind of doing this backdoor nostalgia thing. The story better be really good. But, I mean, for the Russos to come back, I'm hoping that it is. But the thing I'm looking forward to most is Supergirl and Lanterns and Clayface. Like, I'm way more excited for all of the DC stuff. That's exactly what happened. Jid said, would love Days of Future Past, Young X-Men, then Old X-Men, by the way. You know, Days of Future Past is, I think, my favorite X-Men movie that they've done, so... I love just Days of Future Past to begin with. I don't need them to rush to that at this point, to be honest. I feel like it, you know, it is a definitive and great X-Men story, but it's one that's been done. You know, it's kind of like, I don't need another Batman movie that's based off of Year One or The Long Halloween or The Dark Knight Returns. It's like there's There's a library of things that could be shown here. I have them on my shelf. So much that could be done. So let's do some other X-Men stories. They're gonna do Professor X dirty again. How can they not? It's you know, it's kind of, you know, if he doesn't die in the movie, was he in the movie? I don't know. Last Stand, Logan, Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. Didn't he die in Days of Future Past also? In like one of the configurations? It's just like this is what they gotta do. Are there any 2026 DC movies besides Supergirl? So we're gonna get Supergirl, we're gonna get Clayface, and then on HBO Max we're gonna get the Lanterns TV series. Dream said Hush Batman series. I mean, that'd be great. As long as it like embraces the fantastical elements of it all. Like, I don't need gritty, you know, Hush. And not like, when I say gritty, I mean like there's no Superman in this world. You know, it's like I don't want the Matt Reeves, Christopher Nolan Hush movie. Did I watch the extended road cut in Days of Future Past? You know what? I did not. But my brother-in-law has the DVD, and he lent it to us months ago, and we still have it, and we haven't had the time to watch it. But you're like reminding me of it. So please leave Nolan's Batman alone. No. I worked on the third one. I can talk about him. Or maybe that's a reason that I shouldn't be talking about them. They're great movies. I just don't think they got Batman right. That's all. I think they did great things for some of the villains, but I don't think they got Batman right. Batman's got to be the world's greatest detective. He's got to be. He's got to live in a world of gods and monsters. He's got to be this almost mythical creature to the citizens of Gotham and to the lower villains. He has to have gadgets. He's got to be able to build his own gadgets. He can't just be relying on Lucius Fox and other people. You know, that's why I loved how Snyder showed, you know, Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne like tinkering with things and like working on the Batmobile and stuff. I'm like, that's what you know, building and fixing the Batplane. Like, that's what Batman does. Like, he's the smartest guy in the world. He's got to be able to build his own things, but like, you know, like take it even to the next level. And I think that James Gunn's universe can do that, but I'm very, very hesitant that they want to jump right to Damian Wayne. I think they're as a Tim Drake stan. Skipping straight to Damian, I think is a big mistake. Just like, you know, no one's ever done Red Hood, no one's ever done Under the Red Hood or anything like that. Like, you know, that's something that you could build towards. So many other like characters in the Batman mythos that have never been tackled, that like most people don't even know about. Like, I love the character Spoiler. Like, I feel like Spoiler would be a great, you know, like, it's just, there's a lot of rich stuff there. Court of Owls, yeah, but you know, Court of Owls is like, I don't know. I feel like that's like that would work for Matt Reeves. It could work in a larger thing, but you just start getting into. It's like a slow burn thing. Kids today don't know about Calendar Man. It's funny that, I mean, like, Sean Gunn played him in the Suicide Squad. I could see whatever they're doing, whatever Reeves is doing next, I feel like Calendar Man will like fit right in. He's such a Reeves villain. I don't know. It just seems like they're setting up for another like Long Halloween, Dark Victory type thing, which is good. I mean, those are the iconic things or whatever, but I'm just tired of the let's make Batman feel like a real person and not a superhero. Kite Man, now we're talking DCU. Need that. Alright. We can talk more. You guys got me on a Batman tangent. I could go forever. I think I'm gonna run, guys. I wanna thank everybody for the first stream of the year. For the, you know, in general, just the continued support as we enter our 7th year covering chapters on of One Piece. And, you know, I got a comment on a recent video that was just like, "Oh, you still do YouTube? I haven't seen anything from you in a year." It's like I know that YouTube isn't, you know, pushing the content out or anything like that, but it's like, yeah, we're here. We're here every time there's a chapter. Booster Gold movie when? It seems like there's rumors that they're developing a series. There may be some Booster Gold yet. He'd fit in the DCU very well. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy 2026. Thanks again, guys. And I'll see you back here for 1171.
I've been swimming deep, deep. Savage.